Hey guys, welcome back to the makefile series. Today we're going to be discussing target specific variables, which in my opinion is a fundamentally broken feature, but maybe one of you is going to have a use case for it, or maybe you know about it and you've come across the downfalls of it and you're looking for an alternative. So today we'll discuss not only what they are, but also how to avoid them, in my opinion, which I think you should do. So target specific variables are variables that you have overridden for a specific target. We can see over here we have a config variable set to debug, and you can override it for a specific target if you put in a variable declaration like this, config equals release, in the prerequisite list of a target. If you do that, then when this target runs, this variable is going to be set to the new value. So for target 2, config is going to be set to release, and for target 3, it's going to be set to coverage. For target 1, which we don't have listed here, it's going to be the default value. It's going to be debug. So let's run that and let's give it a quick shot. I'm going to build target 1, and we see that it has config debug. It gets that from this pattern rule over here, and this is all expected behavior. If I override this for a moment and put target 5, we see that target 5 has config release. So this value is overriding the default value. Now the problem is, what happens if you're building a prerequisite? So target 2 and target 3 in this case depend on target 4. What should config be set to for target 4? I encourage you to pause and think about that for a moment. And I'll tell you my opinion. In my opinion, target 4 should be built twice. It should be built once with the config set to release, and one more time with it set to coverage. Realistically, what happens is if I build target 2, it builds, we can see that target 4 inherits it. Same thing with target 3. If I build them both together, target 4 only gets built once, and in this case it got set to release. I think if I switch the order, it would get set to coverage. And I have a problem with that. I'm not fond of it. And here, if I build this top level target, all TSV, target specific variable, if I ever want to build this with the -j flag, in this simple use case, it's probably most of the time going to give this result. But in a large scale project, this is going to flip around, and I think you'll get intermittent bugs, or you'll be chasing, weird behavior, trying to figure out why is target 4 being built this way. Because even if I just say target 4, what's it going to get set to? It just says it's up to date. It doesn't build it with debug. It only builds it once with release. So this, I feel like, is a fundamentally broken feature. Both because it only builds once, and because the thing that it builds with is not something that you can determine ahead of time because of the fact that multi-threading is going to change it. So what I believe you should do in advance is you should create a separate target for each of the possible values. So up here we have target %. Here we have target %debug and release and coverage. So if the value of config is important to you, if you want to use it in your recipe, don't use it directly. Just look at the possible values and actually put them out and have a different recipe for each one. So if you want target 1 debug, it's going to call this. If you want target 2 release, it's going to call this one. And you're going to set up your makefile in such a way that all of your target 2s are going to depend on your target 4s. So target 2 debug, using a static pattern rule, is going to depend on target 4 debug. Target 2 release is going to depend on target 4 release, and same thing for target 3, and same thing for coverage. So if I build all dash granular, we see that target 4 got built twice, once with a config release and once with a config coverage, and I think that this is the way to go. If you don't like typing it out 3 times, debug release coverage and debug release coverage, you can do all of that in a loop, which I've done down here below. One loop for the for these, and the next loop for target 2 and 3 to depend on target 4 down here. So it is possible to get that done automatically as long as you know what the possible configs are, which I think you should. Now, one thing that I almost conveniently left out is that this default behavior for the config values or for the target specific values to be inherited by the prerequisites by target 4, that is the default behavior, but you can override that. You can say private config equals release, in which case this is not going to be propagated down to target 4. But I feel like the fact that this is not default behavior is going to trip people up. And I just feel that, even if it is like this, you probably want the default behavior. You probably want target 4 to be built with release. And you want it to be built with coverage. So you want it to be built twice, in my opinion. So still, I feel that this is not the way to go. But feel free to disagree, and if you do, leave a comment below. And I appreciate you watching and hearing my opinion out. Thanks for being here, thanks for watching, and hope to see you next time.